Welcome in. It is so good to see all of you. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Please give me a 1 so I know you can hear me today. Let me know that you can hear me. Today's date is the 28th of August. Can you hear me, my friends? Thank you. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much, Linda. Well, we are here today talking about Sebastian Rogers, and I feel like there's a lot, even though there isn't a lot coming from law enforcement. I feel like there is a lot. We've unfortunately hit 18 months since Sebastian has been missing, reported missing, 549 days, I believe, today. 18 months and 2 days, 1 year and a half and 2 days. Far too long. Nothing new about the ping yet. Hello to everybody. And we are going to talk about that ping. We'll start there. We have a lot to discuss today. So I'm just going to go ahead and say welcome in. Please hit that thumbs up. And YouTuber is here modding today. So YouTuber, I truly appreciate it. Hi, Town Chat. Truly appreciate you being here today. I have great mods and they are going to monitor the chat. If you do have anything you want to discuss with me, the chat won't be the time to do so because I can't interact with you while I'm trying to do a show. So please email me. I do realize I'm behind on my emails. It's been quite a few weeks, but I'm getting back to it. So back on my schedule. Thank you for being here. And let's get to Sebastian. On this thumbnail today, I titled it The Do Nothings. You know who you are. And you know, almost in coordination with the do nothings, I maybe should have put the do everythings too, right? The ones responsible. Hey, Lolly, still no, I see your email. I'm a month behind. I'm getting back to everyone. And I thank you all for being here. So I said the do nothings because I feel like when we have a father standing as the only family member in front of Sumner County Sheriff Office, a year and a half in, begging for answers, communication, assistance for them to bring someone in. The thing that is so shocking to me is the fact that there's no mother standing there. Now, I did have someone new to the case. Yes, Panda Bear's mom, Devlin's on my list. Hey, Dan. I did have someone new to the case, actually more than a few, when I was going through emails recently, not lately, as you know. And a lot of people who were from out of country or not familiar, I had a few who were asking me if Sebastian's mother was deceased. And that's really sad to me. Because no, his mother is not deceased, but I understand why you think that. She's just not present, not a voice for Sebastian. You won't see her at vigils, searches, or media interviews. So I did want to clarify that real quick. Sebastian Rogers from Hendersonville, Tennessee, who is 16 now, was 15 when his mother reported him missing under her supervision, claiming the doors were locked at night, locked in the morning, and he walked out that door. And I think we're going to talk about that term today, walked out that door. And after I get to the fact of the updates, I want to talk about that statement, walked out the door, because I think I used to focus on some part of that statement. And I think there's another part, I'm focusing on the wrong part. So good to see you. So the do nothings. So his mother, indeed, he's from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He was with his mother, last seen with his mother in public the night before he was reported missing. She claims to have been with him after that time at home. That is her words that has been reported and repeated. And he has not been seen. And law enforcement told the father, Seth Rogers, who is standing outside of law enforcement, asking for them to get in the game. They told him there is no evidence Sebastian left the house. So if there is no evidence that Sebastian left the house, can you please tell me, as an investigator, why they wouldn't be all over the individual who was last with him? Because if they don't have evidence he left the house and ran away, as her story claims, her repeated narrative, wouldn't you investigatively discuss with her absolutely everything? One would think. And I do have a lot of questions about the investigation, and we're going to go over those too. There was no luminol, no crime scene tape, very basic 101 investigations. I'm going to be pulling the Department of Justice investigation guide, and it's really sad. It's really, really sad. And I know some of you are talking about, did he make it home or not? You know what? I used to think he made it home because of the 3 a.m. sedan. But because of a tip that I received, which I'm not allowed to repeat, I question it. Am I saying 100 I've changed my mind? No, because no one has told me that tip was 100% verified, but it's not the only one I've received. But because of something I received, I'm on the fence if he made it home. Then my question is to you all, if he did make it home, what if he didn't make it home? Okay, let's say Sebastian did not get home after the Texas Roadhouse. Let's just say something happened at the Texas Roadhouse behind the bushes in that other parking lot. Let's just say maybe someone pulled over on the way home. Who knows what could have happened? Okay, we weren't there. We know his voice was picked up, recorded. KP says it's a dash cam, but of course the stepfather, who has to contradict everything that is said, in my opinion, he says, no, was recorded, but it wasn't a dash cam, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And that's another thing we're going to talk about today, is why that stepfather likes to not provide information when it could be life-saving to his stepchild. Okay. But I put down the do-nothings because we obviously see a mother doing nothing. Okay. 18 months came. Has she done a media interview? Is she begging Sumner County to start investigating? No, because in my opinion, they'd be investigating her first. And I'm not accusing her. That's common sense. She claims he went home with her and they were alone. There's no one else to talk to right then until you can clear her. So I go back and forth on that. And if you're in the bushes, hello, thank you for being here. And if you're in replay, hello, thank you for being here. My chat, I think I'm going to put out a poll later today as to whether or not you think Sebastian made it home, because we've had a lot of information since, I think that's been a year since I've done that poll. Okay. Yes, when you're not standing in front speaking for your son, when you're not there standing beside the father saying, we want answers, what that tells the public, the message that sends is, I have the answers and I need to hide. Flat out. I'm not saying anything that people have not observed. This is for entertainment purposes only. It is not to be taken as fact. We are using things that are out in the media. Sadly, law enforcement has not released a lot of information. So we are speculating, forming opinions and theories, trying to keep Sebastian's name and face out there, raise awareness, and please, Lord, someone lead us to this child. Okay. Now, the do-nothings I think, are the most glaring red flag, one of them in this case. Glaring because we can't relate to a mama who goes to Disney World when her child can't. We can't relate to a mother who's taking trips, gambling, camping, motorcycles when her child is gone. We can't relate to a mother who leaves the house a few days after the child is missing, because all of us would be there hoping he walked through that door and be there for him. We know families 30 years later still have a crib up. The room hasn't been touched. Why was America's Most Wanted not allowed in the home? As Seth Rogers said, is everything gone? Did you take it, pack it, get rid of it? How sad is that? It's so final, isn't it? Well, here's my question, KP. And I am directly addressing you, KP. And if you would like to respond to me in email, if you would like to call into this show, I will put the banner up here in a minute, in a little bit. I'm writing it down for myself to remember, but I have a question for you. What's not important, Katie, is the public watching, right? Because, you're being tried in the court of public opinion no matter what you say or do. But the fact is you're not doing much. So that's on you. What is really more shocking is you're not concerned or don't have a perspective of Sebastian could be watching. Sebastian could be listening. Sebastian, where are you? Because if you had that mentality, you would be in front of the cameras talking to Sebastian. Not only when you're dragged there on a certain, important mark, I don't like to say anniversary, you'd be out there saying, Sebastian, if you can hear me, we're trying. Run. All those things. But nothing. When there was a ransom, which, as you all know, I was the person who received it sent it to me. I was part of it. There was crickets from Craddock and Carter, but also from KP. She was at Disney World. She went to Disney World during all that. So this is what's shocking. The mother goes to Disney World and who's ignoring and not addressing the threats to her son's life and a request for ransom. She's not screaming to law enforcement, pay the ransom, do whatever you have to. Nada, we heard. Okay. But then so she's silent during it, the mother, and goes to Disney World. The sheriff's silent during it, not a darn word, and goes to a special meeting called to fight for his raise. So, when you have people doing nothing for Sebastian, but doing a lot for themselves, and you know who you are, that is who needs to be looked at, in my opinion. I mean, let's not even go down. Well, maybe we should. Let's go to the investigation. I want to say something. I had an amazing sheriff in Arizona. I think Grady Judd's amazing. Sheriff Morrison for the manhunt for Decker is amazing. Those who were investigating Emmanuel Harrow's case, amazing. 2 counties worked together. Not only did they work together on this case, but their communities know they work together regularly. We also, when they did that big U.S. Marshals raid and found all those children, they got in front of the microphones saying, to solve is to work together. But we're in a situation right now where we have a case that isn't solved. And no one's working together because the lead agency is not asking the marshals in. He's not asking the FBI in. Now, if you talk to anyone you know in law enforcement, and I challenge you to do this, don't listen to me. If you talk to anyone you know in law enforcement and you let them know there was crickets from the lead detective and the sheriff during a ransom, during threats to his life, if you tell them that he said to the father, I'm not doing any more press conferences. I don't care what you think, what my constituents think, or what my public thinks. If you tell them that they were looking at footage of the sedan based on people at the command center, and I have very good sources from day one, and the flashlights, but yet 2.5 weeks later, when Nick Barris leaked the flashlights, my source was told by Nick that Craddock was so mad about it because they didn't have it or they hadn't seen it. Baloney. That's a lie to his face. And he doesn't owe him the truth, but it is a lie. He saw it since day one. So why was he trying to pretend it didn't exist? He wanted to never bring it up. He wanted to pretend that didn't exist. And I say that allegedly because him claiming they had never seen it. They did not include the vehicle description on the Amber Alert, 2 vehicle descriptions. Hi, Nick. How are you? Good to see you this morning. And so no vehicle descriptions even. Then we go to the crime scene, and we're going to go to the Department of Justice field guide here in a little bit. And it's 101, things like forensics, things like interviewing people. How about crime scene tape? Okay. And we're 18 months in. And when we have things like that weren't done, and I listened to Jen Coffindaffer's show, and there was a homicide detective on, and he said, even if you don't do those things in the beginning, you can go back and do them. Okay. So we're going to talk about right now, what is Seth asking for? Why is Seth standing in front of Sumner County? Should he have to endure that hell on top of what he already is going through, not knowing where his child is, not having the support of a mom, the mom, actually having resistance, having people threatened and run off, and he stands before today saying, I need answers. He shouldn't have to. They're public servants serving the public, okay? He shouldn't have to, but that's where he stands today. And I hope some of you are making it down there today to be there for him. I truly do. And I am going to address, as he stands down there, we also await to hear what that update was talking about with the ping for the facial surveillance, pinging on Sebastian's biometrics of resemblance of someone resembling Sebastian in a foreign nation being detained. But before I reread, I want to reread that update to you before I read anything else, but I have to explain a little bit. When it said being detained in a foreign country, they didn't mean by law enforcement, okay? It meant detained by people who shouldn't have, whomever this child is, whether it's Sebastian or someone else, not detained by law enforcement. And I just wanted to clarify that a little, because some of you were saying, well, if he's detained by law enforcement, why don't they just, coordinate and bring him home, right? So I wonder how long it'll take. The update said we need to be patient, that they're working on it. And law enforcement detained the subject. So Nick is here saying law enforcement did detain the subject. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. So law enforcement detained the subject. So we're just waiting to hear if indeed that is Sebastian then, right, Nick? We are just waiting to hear. So we have a father who's waiting to hear this. KP, I'm not sure if you're waiting to hear this because we don't hear from you. But we have a father who cares and is waiting to hear about this. And I'm praying that for whomever it is, that they will be rescued, but I'm really praying it's Sebastian. And I'm going to pause there for a second and talk about far-fetched. I've received several emails, and Nick, thank you so much for clarifying my misspeaking. So law enforcement has detained the subject. So think about it. Biometrics hit on the person resembling Sebastian's biometrics. They got a ping. Now the individual's detained. So if that is Sebastian, we should know fairly soon, I'm thinking. Right, Nick? No, I'm just kidding you, Nick. So that's kind of what's going on. But then I have a lot of you. So I wanted to explain the detained, and I'm glad I brought that up because I was going on the wrong way. Okay. But so that situation is being investigated. Well, a father is begging for law enforcement to do their jobs. Okay. Those who are investigating this ping are part of the team Sebastian Rogers' father, Seth Rogers, has hired. Okay. Which is at Night One World. We've got one of the members in the chat right now, Nick, and Dog. So he's got a team. And Nick is telling us it is in the middle of a rather hard to believe region, hence the delay. Yes. And it's in the middle of a rather hard to believe region, hence the delay. Gotcha. And I don't want to, anything else you can say about that, Nick, without me saying anything? Anything else you want to say about that region, that area? Any clues, any hints, or is that not for Sebastian's well-being? So we'll look for that for a second. So far-fetched, while I'm waiting to hear back. Far-fetched. I had a lot of you comment, and I so agree with you. But I agree in two ways. Many of you say, Jay, I so wish this were true. I so wish this were true, Jay, but it's just too far-fetched. You know, that someone he knew, because statistically 99%, it's either 1%'s a stranger. So let's just lean on the norm. Statistically, it's hard for you all to grasp, many of you, that a family member would traffic their own child, whether it's labor traffic, traffic, whatever. Okay. And I get you. But see, I'm on the other side. And I want you to hear my perspective, and you don't ever have to agree with it. I just want you to know where I come from. I can't grasp, could a parent intentionally unalive a child? That's where I struggle. And and so I can see a parent teeing a child. I truly can, more so than unaliving. But what happens more often? The unaliving. And since I've been covering cases more often, well, they've been the parent. Okay. So we do need to be praying for Sebastian, praying for that child, and making sure that that is what we are thinking of, is the child, the safety, bringing either one of them out of the situation, right? But far-fetched, let's talk about it. Far-fetched. Jay, it's just really far-fetched. Okay. If you've heard of Stephen Strainer, he's the boy who was kidnapped, kept, his name changed, went to school, hung out in a neighborhood, etc. for many years. And I don't have the exact years right now off. I haven't watched in a while. Then quite a while, several years later, the guy kidnapped another little boy. I think it was over 10 years, you guys. He kidnapped another little boy, and Stephen helped Stephen found a way to escape with Timmy because he didn't want Timmy to go through what he had gone through. So all these years later, 2 boys, Stephen shows up and brings another child who's been missing. Okay. Far-fetched. Absolutely. If we heard it, if I said it, if I was theorizing, we'd all say, oh, that's so far-fetched. Then let me continue. When Stephen gets home, like a decade or two decades after, there's a serial killer in their area, in their neighborhood. And it turns out to be Stephen's brother. Far-fetched, right? You say, oh, come on, Jay, that doesn't happen. It did. Hey, Hope Floats. It did absolutely happen. So far-fetched. How about this one? Elizabeth Smart. Everyone's searching for her. And I lived in Utah, by the way, during this time. Everyone's searching for her. She can hear her family calling from a tent that they have her behind the house on the mountain. She's dressed in like a garb, with a hood and I don't know what you want to call it, very plain clothing, and they wander around and they go to parties and they're behind the house. They're still in the area 9 months. Oh, Jay, that wouldn't be possible. Come on, they'd find them, they'd hear them, they'd see them. It happened. Okay. I love what YouTubers just said in the comments. YouTuber just said, life is stranger than fiction. Yes. Such a great way to put it, right? So we have those stories, and what about, and her name is escaping me right now, and it's terrible because Dugard, JC. JC had 2 children in captivity. JC was taken and living in a backyard where there was a parole officer, a probation officer that visited this guy. Okay. And never came across her. So if I said to you, he's hiding her in the backyard, what would you say? Oh, Jay, that's so far-fetched. They visit there all the time because he's on parole. It happened. And she had children back there because he had AR'd her and had children with her. Yes. So I know it's far-fetched, but I think all of it is. The only thing that statistically concerns me is, the only thing that concerns me, everything concerns me, but the statistics, yes, are there. But it just seems we're finding children when the families or parents are involved. More often than not, we're finding them unalive. But I'm going to keep the hope because there's not a single sign that Sebastian is no longer with us. And there have been more signs that he is. The tips lead to sightings. The tips lead to ransom, right? The tips lead to airports, etc. No tips have left to that I've heard. Here's where he is buried. Okay. So I keep the hope. That's what I want to say is I do keep the hope. Now there's one thing, several things. We have so much to talk about today. But one thing that I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned when we first got on here, is that statement of, from the very beginning, he walked out that door. He walked out that door. I used to focus on, I want to see if Nick answered it, gave us any more clues here. Is Nick dropping clues in the chat? For those of you in the bushes, Nick the Hat is in the chat, and we were just asking him a few questions. Okay. So, walked out the door. I used to focus on the door. First of all, it's very odd that a mother would say immediately, I don't know why he walked out that door. He walked out that door. Why would that be your go-to day one when you're telling us he's not an eloper, meaning a wanderer? He doesn't do that. You know his norm is not to leave in the dark of night. You know his norm is not to go barefoot because of the fire ants. So what would possess a mother to say from day one, moment one, he walked out that door? I mean, I can't grasp that because I put myself in her shoes. I wake up, my child's gone, his shoes are missing, and I know he hates going barefoot. Dark of night, cold, no jacket, and I know he wears his jacket when he's cold. I wouldn't immediately go to, oh my goodness, he walked out. My theory would be he would not have left on his own because these are things he would not have done. See what I mean? These are things he wouldn't have done. So I wouldn't have jumped to, he walked out that door. And then with the stepfather being so adamant, I know he walked through that front door and stepped on that porch. Why is that so important to them? So I think then I transitioned over. I was thinking originally it was the door part. They wanted us to focus on the front door, and that still could be. But now I think it's the walking part. I don't believe Sebastian walked out of that home, and nor does law enforcement, because they told Seth there's no evidence to prove it. I believe the focus of that statement, he walked out that door, was stressed so much because Sebastian wasn't walking, didn't walk out that door. I don't think it's the door they were trying to get us to focus on. I think it was that Sebastian was up and walking out on his own. That is just my theory. Another thing I find very strange is he left his phone on the island. That's where they charge it. That's their routine. That's fine. I don't find that strange. But what I do find strange is in the narrative, the mother never mentioned that she went to his phone, picked it up to see if he had been communicating with anyone or anyone had communicated with him. That was never mentioned. She never mentioned when she saw a silhouette and was told there was a silhouette in the window. That first morning, she told Laura. Laura told a source that told me. Why didn't she tell the media that someone was in my home and my child is missing? A silhouette was seen. That's important. Why didn't law enforcement ever say there was a silhouette that showed up in footage? Someone was in their home. Right. No daily updates. Oh, Craddock told Seth, I'm not giving updates. I don't care what you think, the public thinks, or my constituents. Okay. Why haven't law enforcement given any call to action to the public? Could you be looking for this vehicle? Why wasn't that on the Amber Alert? Again, I keep stressing. They say there's no evidence pointing to foul play. How about this? Flashlights in the backyard of a child who went missing. A 3 a.m. sedan in the backyard of a child that went missing. Okay. Inconsistencies. Do you know a lot of law enforcement officers have the professional strength and know how to arrest someone for misleading them? They don't put up with it. You know, there's a saying, that old saying that, people, it's not how badly they're going to be punished that keeps people from committing a crime. It's that they know they're going to be punished. And it just feels like that wasn't the case, because from day one, what was CP saying? Law enforcement knows everything. I'm actually beginning to believe him. And what would KP say when she was asked for a comment? Call law enforcement. They had complete buddies there, in my opinion. They should have an Apple Watch. Why did they wait 2 weeks to get the Proudfoot's electronics other than their cell phones? According to Seth. Was that good investigations? No. No crime scene tape? No. Why didn't they make it to Worsham's? If the high school is close enough for him to possibly walk to, so is Worsham's. Why did law enforcement fail to fulfill their duty to collect and garner all possible evidence? Because it's very realistic that a teen would walk to a local convenience store. Why didn't they get Worsham's? Why, when there was a sighting that morning of a boy who looked like Sebastian in a pickup at a gas station, did they not make it there for the footage to check that out? Why did the backdoor neighbor, why is he the only one who did not respond to the neighborhood request to let them know you'd submitted your footage to law enforcement? He later said, well, it's because we didn't have anything. That wasn't what was asked. It was asked, did you submit it? He had 7 cameras, night vision, and audio, and they pointed to the common areas in the backyards. So don't tell me all you saw was a cat, in my opinion. You've seen a lot more than a cat, Mr. C, especially when you leave a vigil in tears, a grown man with a grown police officer who's seen a lot saying, it's bad, it's so bad. What did you see on that film at the command center that you were at when you're part-time and not even with Sumner County? What did you see on that footage that made tears come to your eyes that is so bad? What about the TBI agent who said to one of the local individuals, where he is, he's not coming back from? What the heck did you mean, sir? Do you mean because he's trafficked so far away, you didn't think he'd be found? Or you guys just couldn't find him? Or do you mean that he's no longer with us? But that's a lot of knowledge in that statement. A lot of knowledge in that statement. And I want to thank Panda Bear's mom for her 9 months of support. Thank you so very much. Yeah, whoa, 9 months. Unbelievable how quickly it goes, right? So I think what we're uncovering and things we're noticing, I'm going to give you my opinion. I believe there is a ring going on, a criminal ring in Sumner County. Is that for sure what happened to Sebastian? I don't know. But I think as the more we look at Sumner County, Hendersonville, the areas around, the way law enforcement's conducting themselves or not conducting themselves, things that are happening there. Okay. I believe there is some sort of a corruption in a ring. Now, it could be that Sebastian's not caught up in it. We're just unearthing things because we're looking, and we're not going to give up, by the way, Craddock. Okay. We got Whitley. He's out. He's heading out. This is his last week after 40 years. And boy, the stories I have heard. After 40 years, he hasn't managed in 18 months to get anything, whether misleading the police, nothing, to the grand jury regarding the disappearance of Sebastian. But by God, he can get it there for the Proudfoots regarding a YouTuber they've never met. He's running out. The hot kitchen got too hot for him, in my opinion. So I'm telling you all, There is, in my opinion, corruption, and Whitley's getting out before it gets exposed because he knows no one's giving up. They expected, in my opinion, this to just whittle away, just like Grant's case did, that went uninvestigated. So many things that we're hearing about in Sumner County that have been ignored. Some of the things I've heard that have been said to the constituents there by the detectives, by law enforcement, by the sheriff is actually shocking. And they should be fired, in my opinion. Really, truly shocking. And I know I'm blabbing and I'm going off, but I'm going to cover everything, I promise. But the punk attitude, and I have a right to say that because that's how I see it. That punk attitude to treat your constituents like that who pay the paychecks, get them out. And you know, when people know they're going to be punished, crime goes down. Things like this wouldn't happen. But when you have snuggle trouble being said, oh, R is such a strong word. Well, you're darn right it is, because R is a strong action, a strong violation, a strong crime. You do not minimize it for the criminal by calling it snuggle trouble and shaming the victim. But is that what's happening here? Was there a crime being minimized? I don't know. I'm not accusing. I'm just looking at basic patterns in this town. Right? Let's keep going. Sorry, my dogs, they want to go to the lake. Apologize. Okay. That's the Department of Justice. We're going to go through. I just want to make sure that we have Sebastian up here also when I'm just talking. But I want to show you something since we're on the topic of the sheriff, who says nothing regarding the case unless it's a statement based to defend, like the green hoodie or something. I want you to look at his face where he's standing in front of the flag. See the smile, see the eyes, see the confidence. Okay? And I know I beat this like a dead horse watching this video, but I'm telling you, it is so important. I'm going to show you the video of after the flashlights were leaked by Nick Barris. And Nick kind of cornered Craddock for an interview during that press conference day, the last press conference ever given. Okay. And Craddock apparently was mad at Nick because he leaked the flashlight video. And the story goes, Sumner Craddock said, we didn't have it or we hadn't seen it yet, which is not true. It was fabricated because I had been told differently. They were watching it at the command post day one. By the way, and I also heard they asked Seth to leave. Why shouldn't he see what's on it? It's his child, right? Why is Chris Proudfoot riding around with police in the morning? Why is Chris Carr riding around with the police in the morning? But look at the confidence. See it? See the shoulders back? See that? Now look at this. He's slumped. Look at those eyes. Totally different person. Reaction. And we're going to watch it. And this is credit to Nick Barris. Oh, hold on, guys. Sorry. Been a while. I'm rusty. It's because I have this one. Hold on. Let me go into. I'm in the wrong screen. Sorry.
All right. Nick Barris here, and I'm with Sumner County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Eric Craddock, talking a bit about an update on the search for Sebastian Rogers. Just, this is the first time we've heard from you about an update on the search for Sumner County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Eric Craddock.
Oh, come on.
Here, and I'm with Sumner County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Eric Craddock, talking a bit about an update on the search for Sebastian Rogers. Just, this is the first time we've heard from you in a while, and that's because you guys have been busy investigating.
That's right.
Anything new to report at this stage?
No, sir.
Nothing. 5 weeks.
No, sir.
Just asking, what is being done at this point? What does the public need to know that you continue to do in the search?
We continue to investigate, follow up on every tip or lead that comes in.
Any evidence of foul play?
There was no evidence to support foul play.
You can't rule it out necessarily. You're ruling nothing out at this point.
That's right. I'm ruling nothing out.
And as far as the public, what you could ask them to continue to do?
Remain vigilant. If they see something, say something. Call 1-800-TBI-FINE or 615-451-3838 with any tips or leads.
Okay. We'll have much more on this story to come.
First of all, did you see how quickly he read that tip number, line number? And another thing that irritates me is he gives no instructions, and there's no instructions when you call. But there is a very different presence about him there. First of all, one word answers, nope, nope. So unprofessional. Second of all, just the slouching, would you have confidence in him? I mean, look at
Sumner
that.
County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Eric Craddock.
Look at how he
Talking a
addresses
bit
it.
about an update on the search for Sebastian Rogers.
It's shocking to me. It's absolutely shocking. Hold on. I'm trying to get back to my Canva real quick. My Canva presentation. There we go. Okay. Okay. And what I want to do here is I want to go and show you Sebastian while I talk to you for a second. I watched, now it's telling me my browser's lost connection. Can you all still hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me. I'm making sure you all can hear me. Okay, you can. Great. Thank you. It says that I lost audio. Okay. I listened to Jen Coffindaffer yesterday, I listened to it today. She had on a former homicide detective who is often on The Last 48 Hours, that show. And his name is Dale Lunford, and he's from Dallas PD. And she discussed the Sebastian Rogers case with him. Yes, let's pause for a second. His shoulders were slouched. He was one-word answers, which is so unprofessional. Nope, nope. Instead of saying, no, we don't have anything new at this time. Nope, nope. It was like in my opinion, he was throwing a temper tantrum. But his eyes say it all. His eyes say it all. In my opinion, he is terrified there. The flashlight video's out. The trash truck stories out there. He knows how ludicrous that is. And by the way, he knows what all the other sheriffs think of him. And what's sad is it doesn't matter what the ones around him think of him because they're probably in on it with him. In my opinion, as far as knowing there's corruption. Okay. But he doesn't care that so many other people are watching him with their jaws to the floor. I said to you yesterday that I don't know what is going to be. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I don't know what is going to be done. But there are many people who are aware of what is not being done, if that makes sense. Hold on one second. Sorry, you all. I wanted to show something to you. I'll be right there. Hold on one second. There. Okay, I was just trying to get One moment. Sorry, you all. I'm at a pause real quick, and I'm sorry. Okay. Now let's make sure that's sharing. There. I wanted his picture up there for us. Sorry. Yes, I had a black screen for a second. I was taking that down. I wanted to put Sebastian's photo up. Okay. So where we were. So this detective went through some of the information in the case. But what was really interesting is when Jen Coffindaffer introduced the case to him, her wording was really important. She is from the FBI, by the way, retired. She has a channel called Break the Case. And I find a lot of clues from Jen when she talks because she has expertise we do not. And what she did is when she introduced the case to him, she said, reportedly last seen. Reportedly, his voice is on dash cam record. She says, meaning the mother, when she woke him up, he wasn't there. He was reportedly home alone with his mother. And the true last proof of life is the Texas Roadhouse, February 25th. So words like true and reported and she says really tell me, and we all probably many of us gathered it anyway. Hey, Frank, many of us gathered it anyway, is that, she's not 100 believing what is being it's reported, but not in her mind verified. So this guest, his initial, first of all, one of his first thoughts is regarding the flashlight. How in the world would she know he took a little tiny flashlight like that? Especially in my opinion, when there's so many other things she doesn't know, right? He said, how would she know? What if it was just missing in the room, maybe in another place in a pair of pants, right? He said, and so why would that be the thing she's focusing on? Wouldn't he have taken a bigger one? And why would you say a child who's not prone to wandering went out that night? Wouldn't he have taken a bigger light? That was his point. If you've got a child who doesn't wander at night, if he is going to go, isn't he going to take a light source that's a little bit bigger than a tiny little thing? Right? And why would he go out at all, this detective said, when it's not what he normally does? He doesn't wander, he doesn't go barefoot, and he doesn't go without his jacket when it's cold, and he doesn't go out at night alone. So why would all four of those things have occurred? He said it's unlikely they did. He says it doesn't mean it couldn't have happened, but it's unlikely. And remember, we've talked about that law of norm, and it's admissible in court, is people's normal behavior, and then suddenly you have a crime and their behavior is all different, like the P-foots with their porch light, that glows when they're at home, by the way. And now, but that night, no, nothing was on. Okay. Oh, and another thing I wanted to tell you, when she brought up, Jen Coffindaffer told this detective that the mother worked for ADT Light Company installing surveillance. He laughed and he laughed. Okay. And you gotta laugh, right? Now, one thing that I do want to bring up about Craddock is last time I heard Jen talk, Coffindaffer, she said, you really, the thing that you want with sheriffs and stuff is that they've worked their way through the ranks, because the experience they're bringing to the high position of sheriff. And, I'm thinking Craddock must not have that kind of experience. Okay. But is it ego? And I think we've seen him. In my opinion, he's got quite the ego. But again, so does CP, but I relate that to short man syndrome for CP. I don't think there's anything to be egotistical about. I think with CP, it's a defense mechanism because he's a little man who tries to feel big. Boom, my opinion. Craddock, though, is he arrogant? He's got people who've been missing for decades, even another law enforcement son, and they haven't solved it. As a matter of fact, still talking about it. We're still confused. Okay. You have DNA that has progressed so much in 20 years. Figure it out. There's some from the 70s. There's a lady missing from the 70s there. Okay. Here's my theory. I have yet to see him bring someone home that wasn't stumbled upon by a city worker or county worker or someone else. And I know people are going to say, well, remember that time with they used that ground penetrating and found that little boy in the woods? Yes, I do remember that. And then I remembered they panned on Craddock running and grabbing him. Come on. Now, I'm just going to say the people up in the helicopter found him with the penetrating. That's who found him. Okay. Now, maybe they had to pause for a little media, a great media pick, and have him come in and pick him up since we were in the middle of a high profile case that they haven't done squat on. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but he didn't find him. I have yet to see. We had Piper, whose mother unalived her in the creek. There were witnesses. We had that boy where they found him with the penetrating radar. The people in the helicopter did. Bostic, the girl, teenager who was found by city workers, stumbled over her. No, he wasn't sheriff when those cold cases happened, but they're still on his page is open. And I mean, we're still scratching our head when there's DNA. What are you doing? Tell people, what are you doing? And that's the thing about it is he doesn't have to go out and tell Seth, here's exactly what we're investigating. Here's what's happening. He just needs to communicate with him. And the important thing, he just needs to say, communicate with him. He owes us nothing, but he does owe the parent something. And if you're unwilling to respond to a ransom or respond to a threat to a child's life or respond to even a lead called in or emailed, then why wouldn't you want to call people who are interested in doing that? It's got to be more than ego, because he's taken an oath to protect lives. So that ego can't keep him from saving Sebastian. So there's something that makes him afraid. And we saw the fear in his eyes in that last interview. He's terrified. He's terrified that flashlight video got out. And you might want to go watch one of my other videos because I think I've shown you why he's terrified, in my opinion. Okay. Hi, Oracle. I'm so sorry I haven't gotten to chat. But we're on pins and needles waiting to hear about who that is in the foreign country. How did Nick put it in there earlier? It's further away. What did he say? I don't want to say. Nick the Hat was in the chat and said I'm not sure. I don't want to say what he said without finding it. Something about it's further than we thought or something. But we're waiting to hear. And yes, the person was detained by law enforcement. Oh, you get some sleep, Rod. Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you. So this man said another thing is if you suspect family, you're not going to give family information. Okay? If you suspect family, you're going to keep information from them. But now this man had worked 15 years as tennis coaches for special needs children. And he said in all those years, he never knew one single parent who used corporal punishment on one of those children. And yet he's hearing about Chris Proudfoot admitting it for all to hear about hitting an autistic child with a belt, which does set off even more alarms, right? That you would admit that. So the rule of norm is, what do they normally do? Okay. Well, we know Sebastian does not normally go in barefoot. He doesn't go out at night. He likes his coat. He takes his phone. You know, that's just that. It's not normal. So now my point is, he walked out that door. I always focused on the door part, but I really think it's the walking part. They wanted us to think he was walking out on his own, capable of walking out on his own. That's my opinion. That really is. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Oracle. I'm not meaning to overlook you. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it very, very much. I'm trying to go through. So, oh, and another thing he said, well, we also know for evidence they should have a lot of footage. And Jen Coffindaffer said there's hundreds of hours of footage and we just haven't seen it all. Okay. Hundreds of hours of footage. They should have that. They should have the GPSs on their cars. They should have the Life 360 from the family. They should have records from the RV park claiming his alibi is correct. Now, one thing I will tell you is I don't think CP planned on alibi. You know, I was in my seat at work in that crane at 5:30 a.m. He was reported missing at 6:30. Boom. I can't have anything to do with it because that's my alibi. Oh, but I'm sorry, sir. Back it on up 12 hours. That's where your alibi begins, sir. Do they have it on record that he indeed spent the night at the RV park that night? Did they follow through? Why didn't anything at the Texas Roadhouse set off alarms to Sumner County? Green hoodie actually veering to go out of her way to stand between Katie's car and the one next to it, when there was an entire handicap area blank that she could have walked up. Why didn't they find anything weird? Do you know I have a photo of someone staring at Sebastian at the Texas Roadhouse eating, and that man does not look like looks like he's trying to intimidate him. Yeah, I finally saw the photo. I remember when Jen Coffindaffer said, people are watching him eat. It's suspicious. Oh, yes. I saw it, and it is. It's actually concerning to look on the guy's face, in my opinion. Almost looks like he's staring at him to intimidate him. And I'm just going, I know I'm popping around, but we haven't talked in a long time. Caroline Miller has a comment here, and I'm going to pause and read this. Hey, Minnie, I've missed you too. Minnie, so good to see you. Caroline said, according to Dog Bounty Hunter Texas Roadhouse video, and this is a theory I have not heard, Caroline, I strongly believe CP arrived on motorcycle on the lower road when KP was parking, in my opinion. And I do believe I have one of my researchers in the house right now. So that is, if you're in here, which I saw you, we are going to head on that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm putting a star there. Now, Caroline, is there when you say based on the Texas Roadhouse video, are you seeing in that video what you believe to be him arriving? Minnie, thank you so much. And I've missed you too. Thank you for being here. Yes. The one thing we know Sumner County has done is discredited everything that's come out. The flashlights were leaked. They discredited it. It turned it to a trash truck in which people knew that was a ludicrous statement, but Craddock put his reputation on that statement. People knew they didn't four-wheel through the backyards. And how embarrassing. We had someone from the UK in our chat. We often do. I'm not saying that's unusual. What's unusual is she started giggling. She said, in America, in the States, do they go tumbling through your gardens to pick up your trash? No, they don't. And that's what's so embarrassing is this case has made other countries and other people, think we're crazy people, in my opinion. Busy Mama, I will show that photo. I have that down to show that photo because I want to show that to you all because I was shocked. I just need to ask the team if I should show his face or blur it out a little bit because I don't know who it is. But yes, I will. I've got it down. I will show that photo because I was planning on doing it. And the reason I've deterred is a little bit is what if that person is someone who's upset that we're showing, I just want to make sure. But yeah, they're looking at, you're concluding that. Yes, Jay. Okay, thank you. There are 2 motorcycles that go by. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. 2 motorcycles. I'm writing that down. So much to see. I was watching the Green Hoodie video and saw a version of it where you could see more on top of over the car. And it showed Green Hoodie and Katie Wright interacting. So that's also the same video where I see the person watching them eat. So hit your notification bells. I will put that together too for you. I just kind of want to make sure before I put things out that it's okay. Some things, you don't want to put out. Okay, so have they checked his alibi that night before? Because I know they thought they were real sly about, I was in my seat at 5:30 and this is my opinion. But where were you 5:30 p.m. the night before? Okay, that's where it starts mattering, is when the world last saw him. I'm not muted. Am I muted, you all? Hold on. Hold on. It doesn't say I'm muted. Okay. I'm not muted. Okay, thank you all. That scared me. SI officer says, I'm telling you, if it was not for dogging teams stirring up this case, I don't think anything would have been done. They've only discredited things because they had to. Otherwise, we'd have heard nothing. Absolutely. They discredited the flashlights, Green Hoodie. They had 10 months and said nothing about anything. There's nothing to show foul play. Well, let me tell you what there is to show foul play, sir. Okay. First, I got distracted. Excuse me. Hi, Gypsy girl. I just got distracted. Forgive me. Foul play. The mother says she went home with Sebastian. They were home alone and all doors were locked. The mother said she woke up in the morning. All doors were still locked. There is no footage of Sebastian leaving the front door or the garage man door where he knows the codes to relock the home. So what does that leave us? Foul play, in my opinion, or breaking and entering, which they said there is no sign of. Foul play, flashlights in the backyard of a child who's not seen again. Foul play, a 3 a.m. sedan and another car in the neighborhood, and he's not seen again. Foul play, someone standing near his car in a green hoodie and other individuals crouching and one in the car next to it, and the child is never seen again. Foul play, silhouette in the window. Foul play, bedroom lights on. Foul play, I always park in the garage. Not true. Since then, I've had many sources who have driven by and the car was in the driveway when they were there. Foul play, it's motion. My garage lights are not motion lights, Miss Nancy Grace. Not true. I've had someone who has driven by and videoed and took pictures of lights off and going on from their motion. Thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate it for the super sticker. Thank you very much. So there, in my opinion, there is foul play. Okay. So what this detective said is, it would be odd, even if Sebastian wasn't autistic, for him to go out in the cold without his jacket, barefoot when he doesn't like it, you know, not take his shoes, leave at night. That would be abnormal for anyone, he said, but especially someone who's autistic, who likes the things the way they like them and has routines. Then Jen asked about the 2 small dogs. And he said, and he brought up a great point. He said, some dogs, you know, if I wake up in the night and I go out and walk down my hallway, my 2 dogs are not going to bark at me. Okay. Now, what he said was, though, unless they're little, they might be yippers. So he can't lay his hat on, you know, the dog's not reacting. Right. But one thing I can say is, I recall when CP was on a panel and he raised his voice and the dogs barked. So I don't know, you know, I don't know so much if the dogs recognized, oh, you're so sweet, Minnie. One more, because I really missed you. Thank you, my dear. Missed you back. So the dogs, if they recognize, most likely, here's my theory. They didn't bark because they knew who was in the home, period. That's just my theory. It makes sense. It's logical. They'd bark if there was a stranger in the house, right? Right? Here's this one. Foul play that a female child, approximately 7, 8 years old, silhouette was seen in a window of the neighbor's house when Sebastian was being moved. Film. That is from a comment for those of you who are in the bushes. So let's keep going. We are still waiting to hear on the updates, and I'm going to read the update again. I'm just trying to get through this. One thing that Jen did say, which was really interesting, do you know how Max hit on the pond? He said that's irrelevant to him. The detective said that because it's not that Max was not following Sebastian's scent. So to him as a detective, that was irrelevant. But what Jen pointed out is it wasn't Sebastian's scent, but someone from that home went to the pond because it was tracked from the home to the pond. So who in the heck went to the pond and what were they doing there? They drained the pond. They didn't find weapons, clothing, body, nothing. Yes, little Yorkies are definitely yappers. I had one back in the day. Okay. They didn't find anything in there, but you could, you know, something could have been swirled in there. I don't know. But what Jen indicated was someone from the house went to that pond. And that's actually a really good way to look at it. He wasn't following Sebastian's scent, but someone's from there. Okay. Regarding, and this is something Jen called a clue. And remember, Jen Coffindaffer is from former FBI. She called this a clue to her. Caroline, I believe, in my opinion, it was CP as well, because he knew exactly how high the water was at the time of the disappearance, but not before or after in that pond. His own words. Knee high to him. Okay. Yes, Town Chat saying, for those of you in the bushes, I'm reading a comment that says, oh, bye, Dan. Good to see you. I'm sorry, it just went past me. Someone could have worn Sebastian's shoes down to the pond to give a false lead. Yes, and we have heard. Now, KP and Sebastian had on matching shoes that night. If you look at the Texas Roadhouse, they both had on black tennis shoes, white soles. Okay. Okay. Now, this is really interesting. Jen called this a clue. The thud, okay? She says a clue to her was KP's story changing, obviously, and that could have been enough for a strong sheriff to arrest. That the story started where she heard a commotion around 10 and said, be quiet. Then it changed to, hey, bud, keep it down. Then it went to a loud noise. Then it went to a thud. She finds that as a clue to her, and she asked the detective. She asked the detective right there what he thought of that. Okay. And he said, well, it was odd. He said, if something uneventful happens in your life, and this was a great way to put it, the next day, are you really going to remember it? No. But if a tragedy follows, you're going to remember it. For instance, 911. We probably wouldn't remember where we were, what we were doing. Some of us remember what we were wearing, all of the above when that occurred. But we remember it because a tragedy occurred. And his point being, a tragedy occurred to KP regarding Sebastian, so she should have remembered every detail from the beginning, and it never should have changed. She shouldn't have to keep changing and adding to her story, because that is ludicrous. I added the ludicrous part. That wasn't the detective. That's mine. That part's mine. Okay. That part's mine. Let's take a deep breath for a second. Because something just hit my window. Let's take a deep breath for a second. I know we've been in here for an hour and 15 minutes, and we're still going to keep going. I just want to say hello, everyone. We are talking about Sebastian Rogers. We still have not received an update on the updates that triggered channels monitoring Sebastian's biometrics and facial identities had an alert triggered that there are similarities to someone in another country. Okay. And the person, they've been detained by law enforcement. We are waiting to hear. And I just want you to know, as soon as I hear, you're going to hear. And Nick's in here. He's given us some information today. It sounds like it's not close, you all. It sounds like it's a farther away country, doesn't it, by what Nick was saying? So I'm wondering, part of me is wondering, was it, if this is indeed Sebastian, and it's not confirmed and it's not debunked. But if it is, and I know we talked about the far-fetched, but I showed you a lot of far-fetched situations. If I had said those things to you, you'd say that's too far-fetched, can't be the case. If this is too far-fetched, it still could be the case, because at times it is. Okay, so we're just waiting to see if indeed that is Sebastian, and whoever it is, that they be saved and rescued. Because if that is the case, I will say this, and I'm going to put myself out there. If this is indeed Sebastian, in my opinion, Sebastian was trafficked, obviously, if he's across the country's world. If it depends where he is, he could have been labor trafficked. Depending what country, could have been labor trafficked, right? That's common as well. Only 1% of the time is it a stranger. So then that would lead me to believe that someone who knew Sebastian, family acquaintance, someone around him in his circle, did something to him. When I look at the images that I see that are sent to me, and they're not confirmed, but yeah, indeed, in my opinion, there are people who are there. There are people who have no business being there, in my opinion. No one has business being around a kid who's missing at 3 a.m. But there's some people that are there that, in my opinion, is quite shocking. I'm not sure if one of my researchers is still in here, but I will tell you that back end of the red car that we showed you, and I thought maybe it was a Camaro or a Charger, My person who's working on it went to a car lot, and in their opinion, it is a red Dodge Charger. Now, what is interesting is Jen Coffindaffer said no cars were identified in that neighborhood that didn't belong in the neighborhood. That does not mean there was not a 3 a.m. sedan or a red car. What that means is those vehicles belong normally in that neighborhood. There is a neighbor who owns a red Dodge Charger. Okay, they live behind the Proudfoots. There is a neighbor who has a dark Nissan. Okay, so when you hear there's no, cars that didn't belong in the neighborhood that were identified, wow, what does that tell us? Because there were cars there. So we got to think about that, you all. And I think when this comes down, and it's going to come down because I think they're seeing no one's giving it up. I think that's why Whitley's getting out. I truly believe after 40 years and 18 months of not putting anything forward for Sebastian other than against a YouTuber that the Proudfoots had never met, but nothing against the Proudfoots who lost a child and don't have one statement that's the same. Okay, I think that there's a lot to be said. Okay. And I'm just going to say it. That's just, there's things that, I don't know how else to say it. I just don't. I'm trying to tread lightly a little bit, but also get things out there for you guys because it's important. It's important. We're not here to hide and cover for people. We're here to save a child's life, to keep awareness going, to remind people, even though his sheriff's office will not speak about him, that he is Sebastian Rogers and he still is not home. Okay, someone's asking if Seth knows about the update going on overseas. Yes, he reads the updates. At Night works for Seth. So he does indeed have them. Okay. You got it, Nicey. I agree too. I agree. Totally. I saw an image of the neighbor's backyard before this case. Ugh. Okay. I saw how his cameras work before Sebastian even went missing. I saw it after he went missing, but I'm saying he had posted something online of someone in his backyard. And it is lit up in the dark of night like that person's standing right in daylight, clear as a bell. So, yes. If it weren't for At Night in them, this would be cold. Because I believe the reason they came out around Sebastian's birthday saying they were going to work with the father is because At Night and Dog were working on it and they knew they better get in the game. I believe the reasons the marshals haven't been called is they would be too embarrassed and have zero explanation as to why things were not done properly. Because there is protocol. Let's go to it. You guys have been out numerous times today. Okay. This is the crime scene investigation guide from the Department of Justice for law enforcement. It's kind of like a 101. If you're a seasoned law enforcement, you do this basically with your eyes closed when you arrive at a crime scene. And if you do not, it's a head scratcher. They wonder why. Seth said the U.S. Marshals offered help and Sumner County said no thanks. Why would you say no thanks when you're incapable clearly of bringing a child home? Or you have zero interest because you're not even answering. I have a lot of thank yous. Oracle, thank you so much. Mini Panthers, thank you so much. Welcome to the family, Zipper. Nick, thank you so much. Minnie, thank you again. And if you received the generous membership from Mini Panthers, please thank Minnie and join us Saturday. Thank you, Minnie. Okay, so the U.S. Marshals don't need permission. They have authority, period. Okay, but Caroline, they are asked to come in is usually what they wait for that's how they show respect. They wait to be asked, okay? So that's just kind of, I know they can come in, but they wait to be asked. Now, should we be going over heads? Yes, there's very important people who are watching this case. They are absolutely shocked. They're appalled. And you better believe at some point someone's going to do something. They are actually working on, there's people looking at it, wondering what in the world during a ransom was shocking, by the way. Okay, so they are shocked. They are stunned. They don't understand it. And if you've got other law enforcement agents not understanding it, then you know something's not right. If they can't look at the case and view what law enforcement's doing and go, oh yeah, their jaws are on the floor. They hear flashlights being called trash trucks, green hoodie within an hour being found, cleared, interviewed, everything being debunked, having the wrong last seen date and saying, oh, we knew it was wrong. We're just now getting to that. I call that baloney. That was their way to throw a trash truck out there again, just like with the flashlights, because they did that right after the images were shown in the backyard. 2 people carrying Sebastian to an open trunk. And if they didn't believe that existed, Brandon Carter would not have emailed me for the audio. Okay. So the question is, who has what on whom? Several people believe it has something to do with, and no one's accusing anyone here, it has something to do with the death of Sonny. Someone knows something, someone's holding that over someone's head, and therefore someone is getting away with something because of that. That's one theory. Seth also said Sumner County Sheriff's Office won't allow TBI to update the flyer. He said this from in front of Sumner County yesterday. Doodle Mom, is there an interview or were you there? Is there an interview or were you there, my friend? Oh, where was that camera not working that he knew of? Are you guys talking about that one interview? You're talking about the one on Long Hollow Pike, right? You saw a video. Okay, I'm going to go look for a video. We posted a video. Oh, you were there, Eric? Is your channel, do you have it? Eric, you were there? Oh, thank you for being there. Eric with an H. Okay. I'm going to see. Chat, can you take on for a second? I do want to watch that. I haven't seen it. So chat's going to keep you company while I pull up the interview with Seth. Thank you, Eric with an H. Got it. I see it. I'm on the channel. I'm just looking for. I don't see it. Oh, here maybe. Huh. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I'm just going to have to look real quick. Sorry. Someone send me the link to my email if you have it. If someone could send me the link to my email if you have it of that video. And yes, Minnie, thank you so much for gifting that membership. And Eric, thank you for going. Kiki says she's going to be with Seth tomorrow. Her and her husband, they're going to stay most of the day. Thank you, Kiki. for going. Someone send me a link if you would. I'll just Google it.
One of the most exciting steps in searching for a home is when you go from browsing online to connecting with the.
I've never lost hope. My son is missing. He is not dead.
18 months later, and the mystery remains about what happened to this young man, Sebastian Rogers. The now 16-year-old seemingly vanished from his Hendersonville home in February of 2024. Patsy Montesino spoke with Sebastian's father, who is keeping the faith his son is still alive.
I want answers. Where's my son?
This father's love keeps his efforts to find his son going. Sebastian Rogers went missing in February of 2024.
I've got a lot of memories of my son, but I'm not done making memories, and that's the point.
During the first few weeks, there were massive search efforts looking for the autistic teen, but as time passed, they stopped. Now his dad, Seth Rogers, feels frustrated with law enforcement. He says they're not doing enough.
Nobody's been arrested, and my son hasn't been found.
That's why he's standing outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
So I can look at that window, so I can see them if they come out.
Joined by other supporters.
I am part of Team Sebastian. I just want answers. The community deserves to have answers.
Demanding another agency like the FBI get involved. I reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff with these concerns. In a statement, he said this is an active investigation. He says they continue to follow leads and coordinate with the FBI and TBI. He asked you to share the official Amber Alert poster and call them with any information as quickly as you can.
I think about Sebastian every single day, and it has gone on for way too long now. When we reached the 1-year anniversary, I couldn't believe it. And the fact that we're almost 2 years into it is so sad.
Those outside the office hope that by showing up, they can bring more attention to Sebastian's case and find any information that may lead to him.
I've never lost hope. My son is missing. He is not dead.
Seth says he will stay outside until at least Friday.
Breaks my
I
heart.
haven't left. Don't plan on leaving. I want my son found.
Reporting in Sumner County,
And tell us what you're doing to find him.
I'm Patsy Montesinos,
Sheriff Craddock, we need answers.
News Channel 5.
Oh my gosh, good for Seth with a microphone and all. Go, Seth. I want to see that crowd grow. I can't be there. You all know I'm far away, just recently relocated, barely just got my office set up and tutoring clients organized. I'm sorry, I'm in tears every time I hear Seth too. It's just a lot. I would like to see if there's another one as well. Let's see if there's anything else here. This is WKRN. That was News Channel 5. Let's see if we can get another one here.
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity. But for the first
My
time,
heart
there's
just,
a
that
platform
tears me
fixes
up.
it by combining
I will
everything
check
we
my
do.
email.
Projects, chat, and knowledge in one place.
That poor
It's all
man.
powered by the world's most complete
How can you
AI,
take an
so
oath
you
to
can
serve
find
and watch a
answers
parent who doesn't have their child? Come on. A parent who doesn't have their child beg you to do your job. Oh, come on. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. I don't know what's happening here.
We're gonna need new drums.
You can choose to earn by time and make steady cash.
That sounds good.
Nice. Or you can earn by the offer and choose which ones are convenient for you.
Getting the advertisement.
With
Sorry.
more people choosing DoorDash to get the things they need, you can earn more cash.
I know you all wanted DoorDash. So for him to even say it's an act, share the Amber Alert flyer.
And getting an update now.
Come on, forget this. Okay, I'm going to go to my email. And we will keep going. I just want to watch Seth. I really do. Hold on. Let me get to my email.
It is August 27th. Thank you. And we're here standing in front of Sumner County General Sessions Court, aka the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Over here protesting for Sumner County in Tennessee to let go of the Sebastian Rogers case and give it over to the FBI. And we're over here. We have Seth, his father, Sebastian Rogers. It's been 18 months and 1 day and not a peep from Sumner County. And we're over here. And we're going to be here all week. And Friday, starting at noon every day to support Seth Rogers. Seth, did you want to have anything to say while I have you?
If you're part of the community, you should be here. Because what happens if your child goes poof? If you're relying on this elected fool to do his job, the last 18 months are proof that he hasn't. My son means something to me. It should mean something to the people that are in charge of the case.
Absolutely.
And words speak something, but actions speak a lot more. And there's been no action from them.
Thank you, Seth. Anybody else want to add on to this before I cut the video?
No, let's get this turned over there.
Refuse the U.S. Marshal's assistance.
Does anyone know if Craddock showed up? Came out at all for him? Coming from a mom that lost her only son in January, this breaks my heart and hurts clear to my soul. Bring Sebastian home. Karma's mom, we are so sorry for your loss of your only son, hon. My prayers go out to you too. And yes, it makes it so hard to watch things like this, I'm sure. Yes, let's get more of people out there for Seth. Sorry, I shut that one off, but it was the music I shut off. Let me go ahead and just get, if we can finally get this one working. Let me just see if we get it. No. I'm just trying to get one of them up for us. Sorry, I didn't have that prepared for you. Here we go.
From his Hendersonville home.
And since then, his father says he's had no answers from investigators. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Wilkes. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry shows us what he's doing this week to change that.
I'd like to know where Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is.
He deserves to be at home. He deserves to be around somebody that loves him.
Sebastian Rogers vanished in February 2024. Search efforts stretched across Sumner County, bringing in the TBI, FBI, and multiple local agencies. But after a little over a week, Sumner County Sheriff's Office announced they were scaling back and shifting their focus on the investigative side. Since March of last year, the Sheriff's Office hasn't held a press conference on the case. And Seth Rogers, the father of Sebastian, says his calls to investigators have gone unanswered.
They won't speak to me since I sent them an email telling them about 15 things they needed to check. And if they hadn't done it, then you haven't done your job.
A year and a half later, Seth Rogers says he still has had no answers from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and that's why he's out here today, demanding to know an update to his son's case.
Why you up there in that office? I hope you're working on finding my son.
I love it.
Because I'm waiting.
With a microphone in hand, joined by friends and supporters holding signs reading "Justice for Sebastian," Seth says he won't stop.
I don't get to take my son hunting or fishing. I don't get to play video games with him. I don't get to play cards. I don't get to watch movies. I get nothing while you're up there in your office.
We just want Sumner County to do something different to get different results.
Even retiring Sumner County District Attorney Ray Whitley says he is anxious to see this case solved.
Oh, I bet
There's
he is.
more work to be done than
Darn right there is.
certainly we want to have answers at some point, and I hope and pray that we do.
But Seth says until that happens, he is not leaving. He plans to stand outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office every day this week and for, quote, as long as it takes. He's asking for the community to join him.
Do you expect your children to be safe? Because for the last year and a half, my son isn't. And he's not doing his job to get it done.
News 2 reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff for a statement. He says this is still an active investigation and the department is continuing to follow leads in coordination with the FBI and TBI. If you have any information regarding Sebastian Rogers' whereabouts, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office at 615-451-3838 or the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Well, I can call and tell him Sebastian's whereabouts. He's not home, and get yourself out there and start looking. It's disgusting that they have a father with a microphone having to, that's how he has to communicate to law enforcement. In Tennessee, shame on you. All of you officials who are watching this, county commissioners of Sumner County, you were at that command center, and we know who you are. And we will say names if we have to. You voted your people not to have a voice at meetings, and you voted no term limits. You protected yourselves. Same thing this county's been doing all along. And you know what else is more disappointing? Why are there not more locals standing there beside Seth? What if it was your child? Because next it could be. If there is a trafficking ring going on, they don't care what age, they don't care whose kid. Okay? So get out there, stand behind that father, please. Let Craddock know you're not electing him. He is not going to sit up there and order DoorDash and hide from a father, allegedly, in my opinion. Tell him you will not elect him. They should have so many people from that town appalled and standing near Seth. So that guy knows darn well he ain't getting a paycheck, that he is nothing more than a public servant. No, Craddock is hiding from them. He won't come out. Yes, term limits are so important. They help, they stop complacency and corruption, which is why they don't want him in there, because if they're in there, they have to leave after a while. And then they got to find someone else whose pockets they want filled who will help and look the other way. All my opinion. But just remember, all of the agencies watching Craddock right now. And I want to say something. We have people in other counties who are not following cases, not following up. For instance, Jonathan Wong, that law enforcement, they've had to take that to the top. We've seen it happening in Summers' case. But here's the difference of it happening in Sebastian's case. It's not just people saying they're not doing their job. It is darn right documented. We have ransom tips that they didn't respond to, threats to life they didn't respond to. Obviously, the way he's treating the father is right there. There's been no press conferences. His attitude the last time, look at the Nick Barris one. All of that is there. All of that is there. Plus, no crime scene tape. Those things that he should have done. Those things that they should have done. We're going to go here. You're going to see a black screen for a second till I share the screen again. I'm going to get this up here, and we are going to open back up to the Department of Justice. Okay. Make sure you're seeing this. This is their basically guide to 101. Law enforcement, crime scene investigation. Okay. Now, What this is actions taken at the outset of an investigation at a crime scene can play a pivotal role in the resolution of a case. One thing I did find out is if they do not do this, a lot of times when it goes to trial, the suspects cannot be convicted because law enforcement skipped steps in the crime scene investigating. Could that be another motive of sloppy police work in cases? Just think about that. Could that be? And with that DA running after 40 years of comfort sitting in there, I mean, talk about term limits needed. And now suddenly he's gone. This is not going away, but he did. I want to get to the steps here. Here's their panel. This guide is intended for use by law enforcement and other responders who have the responsibility for protecting crime scenes, preserving physical evidence, and collecting and submitting the evidence for scientific examination. Physical evidence has the potential to play a critical role in the overall investigation. Investigators should approach the crime scene as if it will be their only opportunity to preserve and recover these physical clues. Now, let's start from day one. Day one, no crime scene tape. Day one, you got people in the house. Day one, did they do the interviews they should have done? Did they do the luminol? No. We have heard that a dog, now this has not been confirmed. We have heard that a canine was in the house and crying at the garage door. What happened there? I've also been told a dog hit at the landfill. Okay, we've also been told a lady with a fleet company saw them pull a trash bag out of Sebastian, and Sebastian's clothing were in there. None of this is confirmed. But again, they've confirmed absolutely nothing except to tell you there's no foul play. Do you believe that? Do you believe the lights were a trash truck? Do you believe Green Hoodie within 1 hour was located, identified, located, and interviewed and cleared? Do you believe they let the flyer go for 12, 13, 14 months and suddenly decided to take care of it the day after images were released going through the backyard? Oh, no. Do you find it interesting that there was no description of vehicles on the Amber Alert? I do. I also find it interesting that certain individuals would know what cameras were broken to read license plate readers. CP. Okay. My other question is, I'm going to say it again. Does anyone know if Eric Craddock or Brandon Carter met Sebastian before this? I agree. The garage needs luminol. Garage is the place. Remember, she looks under the house. Her story is she looks all over the house, in the kitchen, in the closets, the side of the bed, around the house. I know she looked under the house for a little bit with the flashlight, but one thing she tells us is she goes from the house to the car, jumps in. She never mentions looking in that garage or searching under that car. She mentions going up to the high school to search. Well, if he could walk to the high school, he could walk to Warsham's, and they chose never to get that footage from Warsham's. Rumor has it there's a neighbor they never got the footage from. The neighbor had to call them. I mean, it's embarrassing. Okay? It's really embarrassing. Now, I believe possibly, yes. Someone's saying he was sleeping in the garage, correct. We don't know that he was sleeping in the garage that night, Taurus. But what we've heard from neighbors is he had slept in the garage. Now, we have heard rumors from neighbors saying that night around 10 p.m. they heard an argument. We have not confirmed that, but what I will say is the very first interview from local news, the anchor woman started out by saying Chris Proudfoot told her it all began with an emotional roller coaster on Saturday night or Sunday night. What? I thought it all began Monday morning when Katie found him not in bed. Chris Proudfoot told us it all began the night before, y'all. An emotional roller coaster. Was Sebastian told because he was calling CPS and becoming someone who spoke? Was he told he was going to be arrested? Was Sebastian taken and told he was being arrested and detained for lying to CPS? And that's why he thinks maybe he's not missing? Why he's not calling? Well, probably no access. But things are far-fetched, but it's far-fetched to think a parent would go just wait. It's so far-fetched to think a parent would unalive their child because a no good stepfather didn't like him and gave an ultimatum. And that's my opinion. But it happens all the time. We see it all the time, so much more than trafficking. But if you come from a world of trafficking and SAing to a point where your mother for the rest of her life is a registered tier 3 SA, think about it. That world, like Don Wells involved in that world, right? Then to do something like that, he was caught by his wife trying to sell 2 of his children on a corner for rug money. Those worlds, and we would say, oh, come on, that's far-fetched. But it happens. There is zero proof Sebastian is no longer alive other than the fact of a statistic, a timed statistic. Taurus says, I don't think he was unalived. I think he was sold on the dark market. Oh, and that's what I started to say. If indeed this is Sebastian across wherever he is overseas in another nation, those people who are around in those images, they're child traffickers. And I'll say it again. If this turns out to be Sebastian and he has been trafficked to another country, the people in the images and the person last with him, in my opinion, are traffickers. Because the person last with, there was no breaking and entering, the door was locked. So if a trafficker came and took him, someone had to relock that door. They would have been caught on film. No one was caught on film. So someone had to help. So if indeed this is Sebastian, everyone in those images that we see, and I'm not going to release names, I've given you a hint of one person I see in there. They are child traffickers. And if indeed the people in those images are whom I think they are, then I understand the silence coming out, the lack of the silence. Watch my other videos because I'm not going to say it, but I'm telling you. And that is why Sean Taylor's files were taken. That is why Sean Taylor's office and home were raided. And he was hit in a car by someone he was saying was involved. And gunshots to his windows while his family were home. Okay. I didn't give a hint, Busy Mama. Nick was in here and gave a little hint as to what country or the area they were dealing with. He gave a tiny little hint. I'm not giving any hints. I know nothing more than what you know right now. Okay. I'm going over. Now we have to say if those individuals who are standing around, but Busy Mama, if I know something, as soon as I know, I'm going to tell you all. So keep that notification bell because I think for sure we're going to hear something in the next 48, 72 hours based on who that is across the country, if it is, or across the world. Is it Sebastian? Is it someone else? Okay. So hit that notification bell because I will come on. As soon as I get something on that, I will come on regardless of the time, by the way. If I see it. Okay. So I agree, Taurus. They're not saying anything because they don't want to give false information. I think they know they're in trouble. They don't want the marshals because then the marshals are going to say, what the heck? Look at this footage. Why didn't you put out a description to the cars? Why isn't the public looking for these cars? Oh, you said that no cars that were in the neighborhood seen coming or going didn't belong in the neighborhood. Oh, have you looked at all the neighbors who own those cars? Gee, bingo, there's one neighbor who owns both of those cars. True story. Okay, true story. And yes, we have a father's love that is so strong. He is having to hold a microphone to scream to a sheriff who's sitting in an office that everyone else pays for. We're refusing to talk to a father whose child is missing. And I will tell you, they all are going to go down. They think they're great. They think they're smart. They've gotten away with it there for decades. Why do you think the same DA's been there for decades? I'm not accusing, I'm not alleging, but you keep people in office who meet your needs. He was meeting people's needs. Now he doesn't want to meet people's needs, or he sees the kitchen's getting hot and people are going to uncover this corruption. So he got the H out. That is all my opinion. Yeah, don't get me started on Freedom Church. Does Craddock go to Freedom Church, Sharon? Do you know that for sure? Yes, and KP pled the fifth. That is to keep yourself from incriminating yourself. Why in the H would you have anything to incriminate yourself of your missing child unless you were involved? No, this isn't the first case. Remember Grant, that video that I covered, Grant Solomon, his case went uninvestigated. He was unalived. They said his own truck ran over him. They found him in a ditch and they claimed that the truck dragged him into a ditch. It was his father, who is a big anchor person, was in Nashville, who you know, right? What they can get you. Good stories, our spin. Think about it. And he was also rumored to have been tied to child P and T. His wife was screaming at the top of her lungs. So was his Grant's sister about child A and CPS. Nothing was done, not investigated. And a few years later, just recently, she hired someone allegedly to take him out, because that's what happens when law enforcement doesn't do their job. But that's another one. They said he was dragged. There wasn't a mark on his clothing or his shoes. Uninvestigated in Sumner County. Thank you, Busy Mama. Being a local, we will have a party if Sebastian is found with this news we are waiting on from Nick. Thank you. Maybe you can help Busy Mama get a group out there to stand beside Seth. That would be wonderful. If we could get a group out there standing beside Seth, because we're no longer, it's not that they're not solving things. It's that they're not investigating things, in my opinion. Oh, that interview. Yes. Someone saying, Top Hat says, EC looked like he was on trial and found guilty, in my opinion. That interview speaks volumes. If I was his supervisor, I would have had him in my office so fast after that interview, slumped in a chair, one-word answers. That's who he showed the nation was in charge of Sumner County. Okay, let's go back to our guide here. So they should always approach it to preserve and recover those physical clues. And I ask you, from the get-go, they didn't go to Warsham's. They didn't follow the lead about the gas station, the truck, and a child looking like Sebastian. There's things they did not do from the very beginning. Is that because they're Cub Scouts and don't know how? Or is that because something foul was being played? Okay, let me keep going here. Oh, okay, hold on. They have a lot of other work. Okay, arriving at the scene. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So preserving contamination. Preserving the scene so there isn't contamination. That wasn't done. Hi, Raymond. That was not done. This is 101 initial response. They had no crime scene tape up. From the beginning, they were Cub Scouts. Okay. One thing that I find interesting is, did they ask Katie if there were any birthmarks on Sebastian? Because that's one of the first questions they should be asking. Because why did it take her 12 months to tell us about the moles? Okay. Another thing they should be, the initial responding officer should be aware of any persons or vehicles leaving the crime scene. Approach the scene cautiously, scanning the entire scene, make initial observations. So let's pause there. We know that the crime scene, the home, which is the crime scene in my opinion, police say he never left the home. Now, to me, that is police saying he got home, right? When law enforcement says there's no evidence he left the home, that tells me that he got home, according to law enforcement. Okay. Now, could they be saying that because of the trash chore video, which we've never seen, which KP says you can tell so easily that that's Sebastian, and Seth saying you can't tell a thing. Bye, Lolly. Be safe driving. Okay. So they got there. They didn't preserve the crime scene, 101. Why? Was that intentional, or were they Cub Scouts who don't know what they're doing? Okay. Now, because that wasn't done, how can they call in people? How can they call in people? That's embarrassing. Let's keep going. They didn't even do step one. Okay. They did not preserve the crime scene from contamination. Treat the location as a crime scene until assessed and determined to be otherwise. Nope, didn't happen. Day one, moment one. Was a choice made because of a phone call that was made before dispatch was reached? I'm just theorizing. Was a choice made during that phone call before dispatch was called? It looks like it, sadly, for Craddock and Sumner County, because this didn't happen. So it looks like, even if they've done nothing wrong, they have no motive behind this, they look like they do because of what they haven't done. Okay? The house they arrived at was clean, picked up, everything in its place. Would that be normal? After you've just searched your entire home for your child, you claimed. Under beds, besides beds, closets, kitchens, you're searching. Would everything be so cleaned, picked up, and put away? A seasoned investigator could figure that out. Okay? They need to make sure that there's no danger to those at the crime scene still. Okay? Such as, so they're looking for other people, weapons, sights, sounds that might set them off. Okay? Controlling physical threats. Another thing, like the stepfather leaving. Did someone follow him? Did they find it suspicious he took two people with him instead of going alone? He says, well, you know, I needed help. It takes a long time. So it took him 17 hours to where he stayed overnight. Two other people that he took away from this worried mother all three of them stay overnight, and we don't know what RV he brought back. He could, in my opinion, he and Kathy switched them out. Okay, that's my opinion. And he brought back the Bauer Soxes, and the Bauer Soxes took his out to Seattle, and off it got sold on Marketplace in April of 2022. Okay, that's just my theory. But here's my point. I just lost it. Yeah, the house shouldn't be perfect. They'd be looking everywhere, like she said. Wouldn't be picked up, cleaned, and organized, right? But just so much of this wasn't done, and it's just really sad. Okay, from moment one. So how do you call in the big guys? The guys who honor their oaths and have their whole career has been saving kids, saving victims. How do you call someone and say, oh, by the way, I showed up where there was a missing kid and I chose not to rope anything off. I didn't keep it from being contaminated. None of the above. No one needed emergency care there, so we're going to skip that. But I want to talk about the secure and control of persons at the scene, controlling, identifying, removing persons at the scene, and limiting the number of persons who enter the crime scene. Why would the Bauer Sox be there? Why would Laura be there? They're all walking around the house. How did Laura get there Monday that quick by the time Seth got there? Was she there all weekend? If she was, why didn't Katie mention that? My best friend and Sebastian's friend were there all weekend. He wouldn't have left. He loves to play with his buddy. Identify all individuals at the scene. Secure and separate suspects and witnesses. Were they all separated? Why was Seth asked not to go back to the house that night? Why would law enforcement tell a father not to go back to Stafford Court to search, to stay at his apartment till the next day? What was being done that night on Stafford Court that Seth couldn't see, allegedly, in my opinion? They didn't define and control the boundaries. They didn't protect and secure the crime scene. They didn't give the vehicle description. They weren't honest with the public that there's two cars that they needed help identifying. What we can see in the images of people, imagine what law enforcement can see. They had the Secret Service and FBI helping. They could see clear as day if it was submitted to them. Was it submitted to them, you all? Or was it pretending it didn't exist, which is why they got so mad Nick leaked it? Has anyone seen that should have seen it? Or was it kept away and 2.5 weeks later leaked? Do you think people are wondering why they didn't see that? So they didn't set up physical barriers. They didn't document we don't know if they documented the entry and exit of all people entering and leaving the crime scene once the boundaries were established. Well, if they didn't establish boundaries, they probably didn't do that after boundaries were established, right? Did they control the flow of people going in and out? I do know a lot of people were in the yard. I do know that. Stop there. Effect measure. I'm just going to end right there. Effect measures to preserve, protect evidence that may be lost or compromised. Tire tracks, sprinklers, footsteps. You all, they didn't do luminol. I'll take a step out on my opinion and say nothing was done. They didn't even do luminol. They didn't do latent fingerprinting. They didn't do any of it. They didn't follow him to the RV park, I don't think. I sure as heck hope that they identified which park he was at that night. He says that his truck is one of the ones that pinged there in the driveway, according to Elevated Truth. If that's true, he should have been arrested, right, for lying? Wouldn't Katie have been arrested for misleading, telling different stories? In most counties, yes. briefing the investigators taking charge assists in controlling the crime scene and establishing further investigative responsibilities. You assist in controlling the scene. You turn over responsibility for documentation. You remain at the scene until relieved of your duty. That's your initial response person. Documentation must be maintained as a permanent record. I want to speak on that. This permanent record. So, for instance, when we have things that have been occurring, they should all be documented. We went over some of the evidence that they should have right now. Okay, but they also should have documentation of KP's interviews and her misleading statements. They should have documentation of CP's anger. They should have documentation of his conflicting stories and the fact that when a PI was asking him times, oh, sure, pretty much, ballpark, anywhere from here to 2 hours later, that he was trying to make finding Sebastian difficult. All of that should be documented on top of everything else they have, okay? My bet is, oh, this is another good one. Their tip line calls. Do you know how many people I have that have sent me that they have sent in a tip? I would love to compare my list against Craddock's, what they've received and responded to. They don't even have directions. If you're leaving a tip for Sebastian, they're not even doing that. Okay. Yep. Right now, what we're doing is we're waiting to hear if that update is from Sebastian. But what I'm telling you in my point of this is basic 101 stuff. Okay. Did they document the conditions upon arrival? Were lights on? What lights were on? What lights were off? What shades were up? What shades were down? What doors were open? What doors were closed? What windows were open? What windows were closed? What smells were in the house? Was there a smell of bleach? I don't know what they mean about ice and liquids. Was for movable furniture? Did it look like movable furniture had been moved? What was the weather like? What was the temperature like? Were there personal items like Sebastian's around? Personal information from witnesses, victims, suspects. That goes with the neighbors saying Chris calls him an R and you do something about him or I will. Him sleeping in the garage. People hear, a new mattress being brought in after Sebastian went missing. All of that stuff. How about the stepfather knowing the exact flashlight path, but claiming it was a path the dog's track Sebastian sent? Right? Thank you, Raymond, for gifting. If you received the gift and all I need is Jesus, she's got a membership. She's been wanting one. Raymond, thank you so much for your generosity and being a member for 5 months. And if you received either of the memberships that Raymond gifted, please thank Raymond and welcome in. Welcome in, my friends. So, I mean, there's just so much that from the beginning, you all wasn't done. What happened? Whispering says, what happened to Sonny Weatherford and Sebastian? Yes. And that's another thing I want to point out. Sonny Weatherford passed away, and it very likely could have been that he stumbled and he fell in the rain, which is what it was said. But because of the way Sumner County has been acting, people aren't accepting that answer. And that's not because that's on them. That's on them. Okay. That is absolutely on them and their behavior. I do know that, well, I won't. There's some things I just don't want to get into right now, but let's read the X updates. I want to read some updates on X, see where we're at with these. Seth currently, as we are talking, is outside the courthouse. If you are a local, please go join him. It's so much better if you're there than here with us right now. Okay. This one is exactly what I'm saying about our thumbnail today. And it is from the 27th, which is yesterday. And it's from At Night Intelligence. I'll try and enlarge it. On X. And it says, oh, you can run. You can hide. But if you harbor even the faintest illusion that you'll escape unscathed, know this. Soon you'll be staring out from behind the cold bars of maximum security. Please let this be true. Wishing you'd found the courage to speak when silence became your undoing. We will find you and those behind this nightmare as Americans united. Amen. You bet we will. And that is why I said what I said in my thumbnail. I said, and again, look at the confidence here. And
this is the first time we've heard from you, Sheriff's Chief Deputy.
There he is.
Nick Barris here, and I'm with
I'm going to show
Sumner
you
County
real quick.
Sheriff's Chief Deputy.
There he
Eric
is.
Craddock,
Looks different,
talking
right?
a bit
With those
about an
scared
update on the
eyes.
search for
Look at
Sebastian
those
Rogers.
happy
Just,
eyes.
This is the first time we've heard from you.
Okay. He has nothing to say, nothing to offer. Yet he wants to be sheriff. I think you guys should ask him, if you are a person who lives there, why he wants to be sheriff. I think that would be a really good question to ask him. Okay. And I did skip over some of the things that detective said with Coffindaffer that I don't want to skip over real quick. So hold on one second. I want to go back to him because he brought up some really good points. Okay. He said, Jen asked, what do you think about CP speaking as if he was there, describing things as if he saw them, as if he was there? And he said it's very suspicious. And I'm talking about the homicide detective, again, from Dallas, who was on Coffindaffer's yesterday. He said that is very suspicious. And what they would do then is they would use evidence to prove they were there. Okay, neighborhood security cams, his distinct black truck, looking for it, checking his cell phone info, his GPS, Apple Watches, he said, any data to see where he was. Now, CP says his phone pinged. And I ask you this, if his phone pinged there and he said he wasn't there the night a child went missing, why was he not arrested? Lots of things certain people are going to have to answer for. Yes, exactly. Diane Hyland says, unless there's a recall, which I have told them how to do a recall, and I'm happy to help, or you find a candidate, this guy's going to sit up there again with his feet on the desk, ignoring you when your child goes missing. And I hate to say it, but that's true. Or if your child gets AR'd, he's going to tell your child it was just snuggle trouble. Is that who you want in there? When you have to bring your child forth because of a crime and he won't answer your calls, or when you can't find your child and he won't talk to you, you have to stand out on a corner with a microphone because a public servant's hiding in a public building paid for by the public that he won't serve, that he won't protect, that he won't acknowledge. Get his ass out of there. And then there's so many people who are appalled by what's going on with him, but they're not standing next to Seth on that corner. If you live there and you're appalled, get out there, please. And we're not upset with you, but let's activate. Let's be advocates. It's okay to say he's a piece of you-know-what, but do something about it. If you think he's a piece of you-know-what, then stand on that corner and tell him he's a piece of you-know-what. If you think he's a piece of you-know-what, I know I don't live in this state either. I'm just venting. If you think he's a piece of you-know-what, then don't vote for him. Find a candidate who isn't a piece of you-know-what. Diane says, my husband and I wrote in Barney Fife in the last election. Yeah, but you shouldn't have to. Find a candidate. Run your husband, Diane. I'd run a monkey who should beat him. Because a monkey would have found Sebastian by now over him. Because a monkey would be looking. Okay. It's so upsetting. It gets my heart going. Okay, another thing this detective said is what I just brought up about the initial arriving at the scene. He said they should have photographs. They should have notes on the condition of the home. See, this is all normal. So what I just read to you from the Department of Justice field guide, this detective's reiterating because that is 101. So do they have photographs? Do they have notes on how clean and picked up the house was? They should have notes on, was there any reason at that time to suspect mom? They should have asked for the consent to search the entire home, which from what I'm understanding they did, but they didn't do forensics on the home. And that's where he said, sometimes they'll forget or they don't do it right away, but they go back and do it. Did they go back and do it? Oh, Ida says, I wish I had known Seth was going to be there. I would have traveled to Tennessee. No, you do not have need an education, just high school to be a cop or a sheriff. Find someone with a high school degree who cares about kids and run them against him. Do it before it's your child missing or your child AR'd. And when your child goes there and says, I've been AR'd, and he looks at your child and says, now come on, that's so strong. You had some snuggle trouble. You want him to address your child? Like that? Or your child's missing? You want to stand on a corner with a microphone? Now Seth says he doesn't even know if there's a detective even assigned. That's how much they care. So that's why I put this. The do-nothings. We know mom's a do-nothing. Prison is no expectations, no hope. You are forgotten and ignored, just like you ignored Sebastian. In prison, violating others is the norm. There's no respect for others or for you. You will do well there. And I'm talking about the people who are violating Sebastian's civil rights, who violated Sebastian's right to remain at home. They will do well there. What is happening is Sumner County is a little in shock, and that's the fear that you're seeing in Eric Craddock's eyes. Eric Craddock did not expect a celebrity such as Dog the Bounty Hunter to come in and stir the nation, stir the world. They did not expect an intelligence agency like At Night to keep going and going and going, to be able to get footage that they didn't want out there. Texas Roadhouse, the mother, she did not care whether Sumner County had footage at Texas Roadhouse for 10 months. Never ran in there in 10 months saying, I want to see it, until Dog and them got the footage. She ran into the Texas Roadhouse. I was told SF was with her, but don't hold me to that. She went into the Texas Roadhouse during lunch, made a scene demanding the footage once Dog had it. Now, not when law enforcement had it. If they did, if they looked at it, that didn't concern her. She knows they only showed Sebastian leaving the restaurant. She knew there was more. Did she wonder what happened inside the restaurant that they didn't show Seth? Or the pieces outside that weren't shown Seth? No, didn't bother a bit. But once Dog the Bounty Hunter and At Night had it, it bothered her to where she made a scene in front of all the locals at a restaurant and was asked not to come back again. Why wouldn't she care if the sheriff had it? That's very telling, my friends. And it's also very telling because she knew something was on it that real investigators who were really investigating would have a problem with. Why did she know it wouldn't be a problem for her that Sumner County was investigating? I'm going to ask again, does Eric Craddock or Brandon Carter know Sebastian Rogers? I want to know what their relationship is with Katie, Chris, and Sebastian prior to. And I want confirmation, where does Eric Craddock go to church? There has been a lot of problems with Greg Locke. He is a former pastor, Freedom Church. He believes in putting kids places and away in schools and things and programs, and changing the autism out of them is the nicest way to say it. Okay. Now, the reason I bring him up is prior to this, on Tyler Feller's page, he was a youth pastor at the time and a pastor. He had many, many videos of him and Greg Locke working together. Once Greg Locke's name started coming up and Sebastian's, he deleted all of his videos of him and Greg Locke. He has never spoken about Sebastian. He doesn't do so, even though he has a YouTube channel for true crime. Spoke of Riley Strain, who was missing in Nashville. Spoke on the manhunt for the whites, the white who ran the jail, who got out the white, who was a criminal. Spoke on that, as many others, okay? Not Sebastian. He was a youth pastor who had many videos of himself doing things with children, like little challenges, little this and that, some at his apartment. He looked like the only adult there. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just saying it's weird. Suddenly, those are gone. There's a couple left, but those are with his nieces and nephews. But the youth group stuff's gone. He's no longer a youth pastor. He's the pastor now. So yes, I do say Freedom Church needs to be looked at. The step grandparents go to Freedom Church. I want to know, is Freedom Church the one who recommended Bledsoe? Did the Bauer Sox recommend Bledsoe Academy for Sebastian? Thank God Seth is a parent who actually looked at it and saw there had been deaths and abuse there. Katie, did you even research where you wanted to send your kid, or were you just glad to get him somewhere? Couldn't wait till May? Couldn't wait till May? 3 months? You knew he was going to Seth's in 3 months, Katie. Katie, answer me. How do you expect the world to relate to you when you don't even speak to your son, for your son? How do you expect the world to relate to you while you're riding rides while your son's life is being threatened? How do you expect the world to relate to you and not want you in prison when you don't look for your child, hang flyers, and you enjoy your ice cream? When you give misleading statements and when you say things allegedly like, I don't want to say that to upset. Yes, Diane, please. I did hear Bauer Sox go there. I want to know if Craddock goes there. One thing I do want to say is Craddock is not treating the constituents properly. Constituents who have been trying to call and talk about Sebastian, constituents who are going in there with information, they aren't being treated well either. It's not just YouTubers. They're not being treated well either. Okay. They're getting the 3rd degree. They're being, what do you want? And all that stuff. Okay. So Eric Craddock's also treating his constituents like that because they're telling me. So, but yet he knows he's getting voted in because no one's running anyone against him. They have till December to announce that they're running. Let's get someone in there. Does not have to be mere high school. Okay. It does not need to, let's get someone to run against this joker. The day you show them you're not complacent to their corruption is the day they'll get up off their ASSs and start working for you. But when he can sit with his feet up on a desk in a building you've paid for, on a salary you've paid for, and make a father beg for him to do his work, and it's on TV and he doesn't come out, holy wow. He knows exactly who's buttering his bread, doesn't he? Probably every one of you could vote against him and he'd still be elected, in my opinion. It's just terrible. Another thing is that, let's talk about the incontinence. It only happened at their home, and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to talk honestly as an educator now. When we have children who are incontinent, we usually associate that they are being SA'd at home. Okay, period, plain. Could be that because of what happened in the past, but here's what's so unusual. And I'm not accusing, I'm just saying a fact. What's so unusual is it wasn't happening at Seth's home. He didn't have to wear diapers. He had underwear like a regular 15-year-old child. Yes, Poppy, he asked for a raise during the ransom that he was ignoring for 2 weeks. They were saying they had Sebastian in Mexico. He was going to be this was going to happen to him. They wanted money. He didn't even respond for 2 weeks, but his little butt showed up to a meeting and asked for a raise. But mark my word, there's actual people out of Sumner County who are looking at this, which may be why Ray Whitley got out. Because they can protect each other. But when the rest of the world starts looking at it, they're going to go to jail. They're going to go to prison if they're doing something wrong. Okay? So Whitley's out because people are not, it's not going to go away. And the fact that Craddock's hanging his whole reputation on this petulant attitude, like a spoiled child refusing because he's being told to. Mackenzie, that would be wonderful if you could get your sheriff to do an interview with you. I would challenge many of you. If you can get a meeting with your sheriff and let them know what this sheriff ignored during ransoms and threats to the boy's life and not saying to what he's doing to the father and not doing press conferences and the way he behaves and the saying it's a trash truck and Green Hoodie was cleared. Who's he covering for? That's an alleged statement. Craddock, were you there that night? That's an alleged statement. Were you there standing around the sedan in the red car, Craddock? That's an alleged statement. Craddock, do you know who was there? Because we're going to find out. I think the images speak for themselves right now, don't they? Is that why someone looks scared? I don't know. Go back and look at the images, friends, in my video. And here's what I'm going to end you with. So the Camaro at the Motel 6, remember it came into play during that sighting in Goodlettsville at the Motel 6. And Sean Taylor says that is, by the way, all this corruption in the files and that sighting is tied to Sebastian. How, we don't know. Okay. But someone was at the hotel, and I'm going to give you a story. And then I'll go to the chat, you all, because I know I haven't been coming to the chat, and I'm going to kind of end and then go to the chat. That's what we're going to do from now on. So those who want to just hear the show can hear the show, and then I'll go to the chat at the end for y'all. So, of course, I lost my train of thought. Yes, Mackenzie, exactly. I can pull that pic up for you if you want me to. Actually, I will. But what was I just saying that was it was kind of important. Yes, that's exactly. Thank you, Caroline. Okay. So that sighting wasn't connected I've inquired a little bit. They themselves have checked into it. It's been checked into it, and it has been recently rechecked into, okay, about the red cars and stuff. So what I want to tell you this, at first when I had these images, let me pull them up for you. I think they're actually in this slideshow. They might be. Okay, let me pull it up for you. I have the images for you. You're going to, hold on, let me get to Canva. Jay, someone's saying, well, I'm trying to get to Canva. Jay, I believe when Cece made the statement, it's so bad, it's because he realized who was in that video. Oh, could be. Okay. The two vehicle, originally I said that it was, that back end of the red car could have been a Camaro. My researcher is in the house, but I'm not going to call her out because I don't want people bothering my researcher. But she said that to her, it was, and she did her work. Like I said, she went to a car lot, looked at it through like microscopic things, and it is a Dodge Charger red. The neighbors behind, hold on one second. Let me stop sharing this for a second. The neighbors behind, sorry, there. Can you see it now? Sorry, y'all. I want you to see this, but I want to make sure you've got it in there. Okay. The neighbors behind have a red Dodge Charger, and they also have a 4-door dark Nissan sedan. Okay. Oh my gosh. Icy Bama. I popped into Lolly's the other day and heard her talking about that. It says, hey, Jay, want to hear some more BS? Blue Eyes called the park rec for the Pig Fest that's coming up to see if she can pass out Sebastian's flyers at the entrance. Was told she would need permission. Why would you need permission to pass out, raise awareness on a child? It's just sickening. Permission from who? I don't know why they're hiring people who don't have a degree or education in criminology, crime solving. I have no idea. I have no idea. But he needs that raise so he can bring in good people. So I will tell you, hi, Broken Branch. It turned out that it was indeed, it is, in our opinion, a red Dodge Charger. Okay, that is in the image. I am showing you first right here. Let me go here for those of you who haven't been here. Tail lights of the sedan, in our opinion. You don't have the whole picture here. I've cut some of it out, what's over here. Look at this person. Crew cut, longer on top, sides shaved, mustache, thin beard. Look at that jawline. Eyes. Look at that person right there. Okay. There it is again. I won't tell you who. Oh, I know, Nicey. I've been waiting on the edge of my seat to be told go so I can say something. I know. I am. Look at that right there. Who do you see? Don't put it in my chat, please. That's ridiculous. She needed permission from Craddock, Bowersox, and Proudfoots? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why Bowersox? They are merely step family. Why wouldn't it be from wow. Okay. That's just unbelievable. Bowersox. Give me the name of the person who told you that, please. Let me go head to head with them. I want the name of that person. I really do. So look at this picture. In your head, who do you see? But there is one neighbor. Okay, so you got a crew cut, shaved sides. Here's the ears. Here's a thin beard. Here's a mustache. High and tight, what they call military. Oftentimes law enforcement wears it. Look at this jawline. Look at that jawline. Who does that look like to you? Okay. The park manager told her that and said he was going to lunch with the Proudfoots. Okay, I'm getting, what is the name of the park? Pig Fest. Didn't Proudfoot have a shirt on that said Pig Fest? Wow. Yeah, Bauer socks, exactly. That's unbelievable. I'm going to find out and I'm going to make a call. So they know this audio, or they knew this video existed, this footage. They know that. They asked for the audio. They wouldn't ask for the audio if they didn't think something happened in the backyard. When these kind of things were being released, they wouldn't have come out and said, we made a 1.5 year mistake. That can't be what's happening, because he wasn't, the last he was seen was at the Texas Roadhouse. Okay. Oh, and I would love to know if the Proudfoots and the Bauer Sox say they don't want his flyer passed out. Please let the world know that. Let's let the world know if they don't give permission to have Sebastian's flyer passed out. Yes. Someone says it looks like the drywall is cut out too. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that picture. Let me see if I have the rest of it for you here. I don't know if I put it in this one. No, I have another Canva. Let me stop sharing for a second and I can show you. It's not that one. Let me go to this Canva. Escape. Where did I have it? Where did I have it? I have the vehicle somewhere. I don't know where I have the vehicle. Let me see if I just have it in my Canva for you real quick. Let me just check my Canva list. I don't, but I had a picture of the vehicle up, but I don't know where that is right now. But that blows my mind that they're saying, yeah, even if they are sponsors, your answer should have been absolutely. I better ask. Why would you even need to ask? Why would you think they wouldn't want that? That's what's so crazy about all of this. And I want to get you all that other picture. So hold on. And I know it's not here. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I have the back end of the photo in here. Is it Sebastian? Wasn't the one. No, I don't know. I guess I don't have it up here, but I showed it in one of my videos and it showed the back end, but we've now found out that it is, I'm blown away about the whole flyer thing. Who the heck do they think they are? Especially the way they treat citizens who walk in there. What do you want? True story. True story. So, I'm sorry I don't have that back end photo here right now. It's the flashlight video, Tina D. There's footage from the neighbors and flashlight video, and people have captured images. Now, I talked to one person who said that how she did it is she just ran her phone while they were showing the videos, and then she zoomed in and caught those images. And then the reason you see different colors and things is because people have taken it and changed it to, here we go. I found it, y'all. I found it. People have tried to lighten it up and things. Okay. They've tried to lighten it up. Let me see if this is the one. There it is. This is the back end of the vehicle. We have now determined is a, right there. Sorry that I can hear someone upstairs. There's the back end of the car. We have now determined is a Charger, red. Anyone know who heard KP plead the fifth? Is this true? Yes, it is true. The story goes, she was called in to be interviewed. She didn't realize she was there to be interviewed. Okay, she thought she was going to get information, apparently. Okay. And once she realized she was being questioned, she pled the fifth. And you all have heard the story. She called CP. He's screaming, what the F? And then they said, our lawyer, you can call our lawyers. And she pled the fifth. The fifth is to protect yourself from incriminating yourself. And if she were completely innocent with no knowledge, and it could just be knowledge of something else that she's not telling. Like, I wasn't home. I went to someone's home. When I came back, my son was gone. Or we were doing, there's people who have been doing rugs. And so they fib about that, which makes them look like they did the other crime. So let's just go there. I want to give that benefit of the doubt. But you should have nothing that would self-incriminate you when your child is missing if you have nothing to do with it. And that's my opinion. And so many of us, we go back and forth on that. Did he make it home from the Texas Roadhouse? And again, the 3 a.m. video, to me, I thought he made it home. I also thought when they said, there was the way they put something about the Texas Roadhouse made me think, when they said it looks like he never left the home. It just made me think that they knew he had been home. I certainly hope they had proven he had been home. See, and that's the other thing. If we go off some of the stuff they've said and it's not accurate, where are we at, right? Just simply, where are we at that point? Because if they say, well, there's, I don't know. Lolly came on last night and showed you the response. The Proudfoots and Bower Sox said no to flyers being passed out for Sebastian. Oh, my. Oh, my. Yeah. You plead the fifth if you know something or did something that would incriminate you. And as a law, as the legalities of our constitutional rights, when someone pleads the fifth, we're not supposed to look at them as guilty. But certainly when there's a missing child and you were the last one with them, I am going to look at you as guilty. My right, my opinion. I want you all to form your own opinions. I am shooketh that they don't want his flyers passed out. Who's sponsoring that pig fest and when is it? This is just getting to a point, but please remember, Sumner County, I've heard they've been doing this for decades. They just didn't realize that this missing child case, YouTubers, content creators, TikTokers, web sleuths, armchair detectives don't go away. We keep going till we solve it. Oh, it makes me want to go to the Pig Fest too. When is this? Yeah, so the top hat, thank you for getting back on track. So the 3 a.m. car could have been to return clothes, maybe a passport, maybe shoes. I don't know. Kiki, when is the fest? Do you know? October? Interesting. It's sold out? Oh. Well, we need to get Seth there passing out flyers. Thank you, Lolly. Appreciate you. I went and saw you were talking about it yesterday, and I just haven't gotten able to finish all of. I'm so behind. I just apologize, y'all. I'm about 3.5 weeks behind on emails and everything. So there's just so much going on. I'm still on the edge of my seat about the individual out overseas that triggered an alert because of the similarities in their biometrics and facial identity to Sebastian. And that's one thing I wanted to look up real quick. Statistically, how accurate are biometrics and facial identity? Let's look that up. Ooh. Okay. So if you look at this, my friends, so what has happened is they had channels running Sebastian's identity, you know, his facial structure and his biometrics, which is like his gait, his walk, his voice, those things. And they got a ping, a targeted hit. People don't like it called a ping. Okay, a targeted alert that somewhere else in the world, there was a match. Okay, thank you, Lolly. There was a match. Okay, and that match, was so close to Sebastian, they're looking into it. Okay, now we have a lot of people saying this is really far-fetched. This would never happen. This doesn't happen. Here's what I want to say to you. Biometrics and facial recognition are statistically very accurate in controlled environments, with accuracy rates for high-quality images reaching over 99%. But accuracy can decrease significantly in real world, in the wild conditions. So that was in the wild probably, where image quality is lower and more variable. Factors like lighting, angle, obstructions, demographic variables can affect performance, with some systems showing lower accuracy for certain groups through technology is improving to address these issues. In the wild conditions, such as the subject not looking directly at the camera, or potential obstructions like shadows or glasses, can reduce accuracy. Okay. Demographic variables. While overall performance is high for diverse groups, some systems have shown lower accuracy for certain demographics, like people with certain skin tones. So we are waiting. So they are usually pretty accurate. And we have a hit on Sebastian. Okay, a possible hit, not confirmed. Yeah, that is so funny you say that, Panda. I'm going to get back to that. Not that it's confirmed, but it's not debunked. But biometrics and facial recognition statistically have a very high accuracy. But there are things that play a role in minimizing the accuracy. And that is things like not looking directly at the camera, glasses, other people walking in front, demographics, environment, okay? So I am very hopeful that this is Sebastian. October 23rd through the 25th, thank you. I am very hopeful that it is Sebastian because of the accuracy of this type of surveillance. Me and you, I don't know how long till we know. I just know I was told we're just going to have to be patient while it's being investigated. Okay. And some of you asked, does Seth know? Well, yeah, he would know that this is going on. This is his team. He would know what's going on. I'm sure right now he's trying to focus on at home outside Sumner County to get them to do their jobs. Now imagine if he hadn't had this agency helping him. Right? And then I do want to read this about, and it's so funny you say this, Panda Bear's mom. I thought of this reward just the other day because I thought, I wonder if something fishy is going to go down with Devlin's reward, and I don't know why I thought that. Devlin's reward money was stolen. Allegedly, his niece did it, fixed her truck, got boyfriend out of jail. In my opinion, she'll get away with it. Our town will be angry. I have a video started on Devlin, Panda Bear's mom, called The Last Ping, His Last Steps. And I'm working on that to put that together. But that's a huge legal thing if the reward was collected as a reward money and not present. They should have been keeping it with an attorney. That way nothing happens, right? And IML says, yes, biometrics is highly effective tool used by law enforcement to establish if a person was somewhere, particularly through fingerprint, facial, or DNA. This is what I got Googling. Thank you, IML. Yes, and the color of the eyes, their iris is very important. We went over what they look for. They'll measure like the length of the nose, the distance between the eyes, the between the nose and the top of the lip, the spread of the lips, the cheekbones, that jawline, like in that image I show you, that is such a prominent jawline. And then the walk, the gait, whatever they can pick up, but they got to hit that on Sebastian. We had been talking a lot about them getting facial recognition on the creepers in the images, right? So, you know, but we hadn't been talking about them going after facial recognition around the world to get a hit on Sebastian. That just hadn't even dawned on me to discuss, and that is what got the hit. So I'm praying it's Sebastian. I really am. Because the accuracy in what's being done to have that kind of a physical hit is huge. The last time we had some sort of Texas Roadhouse is the last time we've seen Sebastian. If this is an actual hit, this will be the next time. Oh, I'm sure he's likely taller. He could very well be bald. I've told you guys, dreadlocks, purple hair. Right? Yes. He could have a mustache, a beard, a goatee. He could be wearing contacts, not glasses, colored contacts. We just don't know. Yes, Karen Powers says, exactly. And now that AI is more advanced, so is camera tech. Finding a needle in a haystack is getting better and faster. Right. And so the fact that this is a hit on Sebastian is to be taken seriously. Until they debunk it, I'm on the edge of my seat. I made a statement about ears the other day that I think I was incorrect about, by the way. I want to clarify. Okay, so ears grow throughout your life, but as you get older in age, it slows down. They grow about 0.22 millimeters per year. And that growth is lent because of the cartilage growing, okay? I had said the ears don't change, and I was inaccurate in that. What doesn't change is your structure, your how do I want to say it? The structure of your face. Your feature, your bone structure. Thank you, Caroline. I just looked over and you had it right in there. Your bone structure doesn't change. Okay. Another easy identifier is if he's seen with the same person as in the last sighting. Oh my, Caroline. Can you imagine? Caroline says, another easy identifier is if he's seen with the same person as in the last sighting. Yes. Now, do remember, we've had sightings of Sebastian and they're unconfirmed. But the fact that he's overseas, possibly, if this is him, that Spokane International Airport sighting could very well be valid. I've looked into many of the countries that they go to. Okay, so he could have been being moved at that time. It was October 12th that he was seen at Spokane International. So that could have been an accurate sighting if indeed this is Sebastian. And then what Caroline's saying is Sebastian's in some of these sightings, well, in all of the sightings of Sebastian, most of them, there's people he's traveling with. Now, in Spokane, Washington, the description of the person is it's a woman. She's in her 50s and she's got blondish, ashy blonde hair. I've received that same description from the person at Ford's Pond. Okay. You may have, Caroline. Caroline, can I ask you a question? Is it the initials BHR? BHR, Caroline. Oh, I'd love to. Caroline, send me your number. I think I have it, but I just haven't called you. But if you'll send me your number, I'd love to hear that. Oh, dark-haired woman. Okay. Okay. There have been people identified traveling with the individuals who were unconfirmed possible sightings of Sebastian. And the reason I'm saying unconfirmed is they weren't debunked because no one got there. I'll be honest. No one got to Spokane, Washington International Airport. No one got to the sighting that Caroline's talking about, which I'm aware of. In Caroline's sighting, here's another weird situation. One of the individuals is wearing goggles at night. Remember, there were goggles at night walking through the neighborhood. Just a lot of weird things. Oh, her hair was dyed. Caroline's saying she thinks she's identified the person in the sighting she saw, the woman, and that her hair was dyed because she's naturally a dark strawberry. Oh, gosh. Okay, so if you're going to say dark strawberry, I know exactly where I'm going as far as people. So we do need to talk. Reach out to me, girl. I can't promise I'll get back to you this afternoon, but I will get back to you in the next 24 hours. Yes, the goggles were the man. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, you all, we've got so much we've been talking about regarding Sebastian as we wait to hear about this update. If I hear anything, I will jump right on. So please put your notifications on. I'm not going to wait an hour and put a thumbnail out. I'll just jump right on. I actually have a thumbnail ready for this kind of situation. Caroline? Oh my gosh. Caroline, okay, Caroline said the person she thinks she's identified traveling with Sebastian is a person with dark hair who is also a missing person. Okay. Gotcha. Someone's coming to mind for me. Yes, I gotcha. From Tennessee, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. I know. Teresa, as soon as we talk, I'm sorry, anyone in the bushes and stuff who doesn't know what we're talking about, there was a sighting. Caroline witnessed it. She shared some things with, we've talked, she shared it with me. She's now identified the woman. She thinks she knows who the man was who was wearing the goggles. She's now identified the woman. Another missing person from Tennessee. I have an idea who it is. And if it is who we're talking about, it's an auntie, possibly. Yes, got it. I'm right. And I'm going to give you something else. And I'm going to end it here. And I'm going to have to say it very carefully. I believe there could be a connection between Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. And I have reason that I say that. I did find one thing that I shared. I was asked a question, seeing if I could research it. I researched it and found something that connected them. Got it. I know who it is. Yes. Caroline, holy wow. Okay. So I think possibly, yes, indeed, there is a connection. Okay. Yes, I do believe it. And I'm not just saying that, there's reasons I'm saying that I can't share completely. Okay. So thank you for being here. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. And I hope you all have an absolute blessed rest of your day. Please keep Sebastian in your mind and your prayers, and whoever this child is, because what they're going through is unrest, which isn't positive, right? We know that's trauma. We know that's struggle. We know that's conflict. We know that's unease. So whoever this child is, may they be rescued, gotten out of the situation, returned to where they belong. But please, Lord, let this be Sebastian Rogers. And stand by Seth and his group today, that Eric Craddock and those will soften their heart and realize it's time to do right by Sebastian and Seth. You all, thank you for being here. Yes, we will talk more about Summer and Sebastian together, okay? I know we're all very interested in that. And Icy, it's really good to see you in here. All of you, I appreciate you being in here. Everyone, for your super stickers, your memberships, welcome to the family, and have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep keeping on. Talk soon, my friends.